Welcome to Basketball Cinema, where we revisit the most important and iconic games in NBA history. I'm Jay Canada, and today we're looking at Game 6 of the 2021 NBA Finals between the Phoenix Suns and Milwaukee Bucks. Now, usually here on the channel, I try to build suspense and keep from spoiling how the game we're covering ends, just in case, you didn't already know. But I'm assuming if you're watching this that you're probably an NBA fan and you've probably been awake during the past week, so yes. Today we're looking at the 2021 NBA champion winning Milwaukee Bucks. Spoiler issued. 3 weeks ago here on Basketball Cinema, I made a video teeing up the finals matchup between the Suns and Bucks, and have felt vindicated since that very moment. In my neutral observer opinion, the 2021 NBA Finals were the best we've had as fans since the 2016 Cavs-Warriors spectacle. Many fans and analysts thought they had this series figured out after the first two games, in which Phoenix won both and won both by double figures.
This team is not as good with Giannis as the centerpiece of it.
Wow, that's an awful take. Also, why does Skip always dress like he's trying to become a capo in the DeMeo crime family? To be fair to the Bucks doubters, this series did have a feeling of inevitability, with the Suns dominating so soundly out the gates. Things changed, however, during the second quarter of Game 3, as Milwaukee pounded Phoenix 35-17 in that quarter, en route to winning the game 120-100 and officially entering the series. In Games 2 and 3, Giannis Antetokounmpo posted 42 points, 12 rebounds, then 41 points, 13 rebounds, which sounds spectacular, yet somehow he got better from that point on. Game 4 was a true rock fight, as the Suns carried a 6-point lead into the fourth quarter with a chance to take a stranglehold on the series. Devin Booker would finish the game with 42 points, but 14 in the fourth quarter alone from Chris Middleton put the Bucks in a position to win it, and the freak from Greece did this.
Now Booker with Tucker on him, throws it up for Ayton, shot blocked by Antetokounmpo! What a block from Giannis!
The greatest finals rejection since LeBron James swiped left on an Andre Iguodala attempt in 2016, and the Bucks had evened the series. The Bucks got a heroic Giannis performance in Game 3, a special Middleton showing in Game 4, and in Game 5, those two were finally joined by Jrue Holiday, who dropped 27 and 13 assists in his best game of the finals. The Suns, though, weren't going down without a fight, as Devin Booker once again scored 40, but once again, with the game hanging in the balance, it was another superhero-like play from Giannis.
Phoenix has to foul, and Antetokounmpo throws it down!
Is he Batman, Robin, Superman, Flash, the whole Justice League? Yep, that's Giannis. With that, 3 straight victories for the Bucks to turn the tables and take a 3-2 series lead in the NBA Finals. Devin Booker had thrown his best punch for the Suns with back-to-back 40-point games. But entering Game 6, Giannis was averaging 32 points, 13 boards per game, and the masses had full faith in Milwaukee.
In fact, I think the Bucks' big three is going to combine for 0 points in Game 7, because there isn't going to be one, because Milwaukee's going to win this thing in 6.
I'll be talking a lot more in this video about Giannis, like a lot more. But even prior to his legendary Game 6 we're about to watch, he was already racking up historic numbers and had given us 2 of the most legendary individual plays in NBA Finals history. In addition, Chris Middleton had showed up and was even garnering some buzz as being the potential Finals MVP. On the flip side, while Booker was cooking despite a costly turnover at the end of Game 5, and Chris Paul had bounced back from an awful Game 4 performance with 21 and 11 in Game 5, but the only question of note for Phoenix was how would they slow down the out-of-control 18-wheeler that was Giannis Antetokounmpo in a potentially series-deciding Game 6. Again, here's a small spoiler. The Suns did the opposite of that. Like, they didn't slow the 18-wheeler down, they just kind of moved out of the way and let it destroy everything in its path. Wow, I didn't know where that metaphor was going, but I gotta say, I'm pretty satisfied with how it finished. Speaking of which, the NBA Finals, how exactly did they finish in 2021? Man, shout out to Spike Lee for the fire intro sequence to these finals games. He really did the right thing in setting up Game 6. I just realized in this moment that I've yet to mention the fact that Giannis suffered a seemingly awful knee injury just a couple weeks ago. Didn't really cross my mind because, well, he's a superhuman. And here's the first proof of that. Mr. Clean magic erasing a Mikal Bridges attempt at the rim, before finishing for the first hoop of the game on the other end. Devin Booker continuing to cook, opening the account on a midi for the Suns. It was actually a relatively sloppy start to the game. Chris Paul was 0 for 2 after missing a fallback jumper. Jrue Holiday also slumping out the gates. A miss from 3, he'd go 1 for 6 in the opening frame. Entering the game, Giannis was shooting just 56% from the free throw line in the playoffs. That's not good. But his first 2 attempts from the stripe did fall through. Chris Paul with his lone make of the quarter, a triple from the left wing to finally get Phoenix back on the board. Both Milwaukee co-stars getting involved out of the timeout. Jrue Holiday with a tough lefty floater for 2, then Chris Middleton stealing a lazy Booker pass, going coast to coast for the flush. Milwaukee crowd was sent into a frenzy for the first time.
Middleton for 3.
An early 7 for Middleton. Now that he's risen in NBA fans' consciousness during the playoffs, Chris Middleton has become a super polarizing player to discuss. The man they call Cash Money with a KH made consecutive All-Star games in 2019 and 20, and for the past 4 seasons has averaged 20 points a game on a sturdy 58% true shooting clip. But in that same stretch, he's had some wildly inconsistent playoff appearances. For example, 25 a game on 60% shooting in 2018 versus Celtics, but just 14 a game on 41% versus the Raptors in 2019. My guy runs hot and cold like an early Katy Perry banger. But in 2021, Chris was able to put it all together, averaging 21.5 points or better in each series, hitting a peak in the finals where he just averaged 24 a game on 54% true shooting. More than the raw numbers though, Middleton was responsible for handling the ball and creating in the clutch for the Bucks. He led the finals and playoffs in total clutch points and hit big shot after big shot. On top of being a clearly underrated asset on the court, Middleton's path to success is super cool as well. He was a 2nd-round pick by Detroit back in 2012, had a stint in the G League, was traded after his first season, but still became an NBA champ. You just absolutely love to see it. Pat Connaughton checking into the game for the first time, he fouled Deandre Ayton, who finished and won. What are you doing, Pat? Oh shoot, Jay Crowder just slapped my boy Pat in the face, what? Watch an example here of Jrue Holiday's immense value, protecting the Bucks rim as Devin Booker attempted to finish inside. He's a 6'3" guard doing that, by the way. Bobby Portis reached cult hero status in Milwaukee during this playoff run, and he was serenaded with Bobby chants after hitting a straightaway 3. Cam Payne off the Suns bench with a confident answer, but staring down a 2-3 zone from Phoenix, the Bucks got another big 3 from Portis in the corner. To close the first, Giannis driving to the rim with his patented long stride. He put poor Deandre Ayton into a blender before finishing with his right, and he made his way to the stripe for 2 more freebies. The Suns would shoot just 7 for 24 in the first quarter. It was truly a nightmare start, but credit to strong coaching from Monty Williams, they wouldn't roll over. Cam Payne continued to be instant offense off the bench, turning the corner and finishing for 2. He then pulled up going right for a pure stroke from the outside, a quick 10 points for Payne. Block number 2 of the game for Giannis.
Nice feed inside, blocked by Antetokounmpo.
Poor DeAndre, man. Cam Johnson had some terrific moments for the Suns in this playoff run, hitting a confident 3 of his own, but that would be his only 3 points of Game 6. Phoenix had cut the lead down to 3 at this point, but another jumper converted by Bobby Portis for the Bucks. This was yet another tough moment in the game for Deandre Ayton. Coming up way short in the paint, he looked so uncomfortable. The 22-year-old had some super moments during the Suns' playoff runs, including averaging 18 and 14 per game versus the Clippers in the West Final. But the NBA Finals matchup proved too large for the big fella, as he was unfortunately matched up against Giannis for much of the latter part of the series. Ayton would later say of the playoff run, "Even though we lost, it was still fun. I mean, I like the optimism, but that's not exactly what you want to hear." One of the few predictions I actually had for the series when I made a video on the matchup a couple weeks back actually did include Deandre Ayton. To me, the X factor of this series will be Deandre Ayton. The big fella absolutely ate against the tiny Clippers front line in the conference finals, and he also held his own against MVP Jokic in round 2. Milwaukee has the horses to potentially prevent him from making a huge impact, but if the 2-man game with CP3 begins to dictate the flow of the game, I mean, we've seen it be nearly unstoppable. And while that wasn't exactly some groundbreaking analysis from me, I was low-key correct. In games 1 and 2, Ayton posted 16 points, 15 rebounds per game on 60% shooting, leading to a pair of Suns wins. In the following 4 losses, Ayton's production slipped a bit to 14 and 11 on 50% shooting. For better or worse, the Suns' success did swing with Ayton's play, meaning he really was the X factor of the series. Mikal Bridges an ISO and bucket on Connaughton. Then Chris Paul abusing my boy Pat with an easy right-handed finish. This game was tied, y'all. With Phoenix up 2 now, Giannis back to the line where he missed an attempt for the first time. This clearly infuriated Giannis because he responded with a jump hook in the lane over Ayton, a finish through traffic off the Holiday dime, and a twirling fader against Jay Crowder. Oh, also, a ridiculously athletic block of a Devin Booker jump shot. Unfortunately, during that same stretch, Chris Paul finally got loose. A warm-up elbow jumper after a pump fake, a fallback J from 14 feet over Brook Lopez, and another midi right in the grill of Giannis himself. So through a half, the Suns had a 5-point lead. Chris Paul had 13 points and Giannis a pretty quiet 17. Is this really what Giannis did to the Suns to become a legend?
Holiday was brilliant in Game 5, one of the best games of his life. Antetokounmpo gets the roll, count it and one.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, that was pretty cool, but I think we're all going to need a little more evidence.
Giannis tries a three. It's good. Giannis Antetokounmpo with his first three-point make of the night.
Okay. All right. That's a quick 6 points. Not bad. Speaking of not bad, a crazy tough fall-away jumper for Devin Booker over Drew Holiday from the left side of the court. Holiday finally back to contributing offensively with a nice lefty finish. After that, Drew with low-key one of the best defensive plays I've ever seen, closing out on Booker to dissuade him from taking a three, then sliding his feet to cut Booker off and cleanly rip him of the rock. I mean, that is truly a one-of-one play. I'm not sure who else in the league could have made it. This was slowly becoming the Drew Holiday game for the Bucks. Oh yeah, never mind. Giannis bullying for another 2. It was still his game. Giannis would convert a couple more free throws, making him 8 for 9 to this point. The Suns finally got a miss from Giannis, and he simply grabbed his own board and put it back up and in. I don't blame Monty Williams for trying something different, as Giannis was abusing Ayton defensively, but Jay Crowder? If Jay Crowder is your second option to guard Giannis, yeah, you might be fried. I just disrespected Crowder, but moments later, Jay hit a 3 plus the foul on Giannis. I mean, that's a great shot. But after Giannis dropped in another deuce on the fader, and Chris Paul made his first basket of the second half, it was the unexpected Brook Lopez takeover.
Middleton tied up, finds Lopez. Lopez just kind of flips it up and in from the foul line. Holiday the drive, finds Lopez, cutting and slamming. Brook Lopez with authority. Lopez off the dribble and knocks it down.
Yeah, I have no explanation of what just happened. Once again, Giannis knocking down a pair from the free throw line. 8 and up to 4 fouls in the game, by the way. Some back and forth to end the third quarter. Jay Crowder walking into a triple from the left wing. Drew Holiday in the corner, a bailout 3 for the Bucks. Devin Booker drawing a foul and converting with the goaltend. Giannis up to 18 in the third quarter alone, taking a gorgeous feed from Drew Holiday off a well-designed set play. Chris Middleton finally reappearing in the game, a floating jumper from the elbow. Giannis attacking Crowder once again, who was much too small, back to the stripe where Giannis again knocked through a pair. But the Suns simply wouldn't quit. Booker in transition for a lay, former Wisconsin Badger Frank Kaminsky with 2 of his 6 points off the dunk, and a couple freebies from Booker to tie the game back up. 20 points in the third quarter alone for Giannis. 37 points, 10 rebounds with a quarter remaining in a title-deciding game. I mean, what the I'm running out of adjectives to describe Giannis at this point, but maybe the most amazing thing about the Greek Freak is that he's only 26 years old. A sports cliche that I absolutely hate, specifically when talking about basketball, is when people hypothesize about how great a player can be if they develop another part of their game. Like, ooh, player X could be a legend if he develops a 40% stroke from deep, as an example. It's so silly to throw things out there as if it's just an easy thing to do. But with that being said, Game 6 Giannis did throw gasoline onto a tire fire in terms of people trying to predict his future, as he would eventually go a remarkable 17 for 19 from the free throw line. He hit one of his 3 deep attempts and also couldn't miss on his short to mid-range jumpers. If we compare Giannis to other legends of the game, LeBron James and Michael Jordan for example, things really do get wild. It's widely agreed upon that the 2 best versions of LeBron came in 2013 with the Heat and 2018 with the Cavs. James was 28 and 33 years old respectively in those seasons. MJ meanwhile was 28 when the Bulls started their first three-peat and was 33 during their 72-win season in 1996. I think it's reckless for anyone to suggest Giannis will magically become a 40% three-point shooter or a mid-range assassin, but I think it is safe to assume with another couple years of experience, like MJ, like LeBron, he'll be able to dominate the game mentally in addition to what he currently does physically. And if he's ever able to combine his physical and mental peak with 1 or 2 more reliable ways to score on the offensive end, I mean, good luck, NBA. Seriously, good luck. The point guards dueling to start the fourth, as Drew Holiday banged his second 3 of the game on the transition pull-up. Chris Paul, though?
Paul, the
A tough make plus the harm. CP3 up to 20 on the game. Holiday airballing his next attempt, but PJ Tucker Johnny on the spot to collect it, and he set up Bobby Portis for yet another timely make. Bobby then trolled Chris Paul and gained a ton of new fans around the league, I'm sure. The man from Greece had checked back into the game after a short rest and was immediately on his Ben Wallace vibe.
Booker on the drive, left-handed shot blocked with Antetokounmpo.
His fourth block of the game, followed shortly by another hoop, tipping home a Chris Middleton miss. CP3 attempting to quell the Bucks' momentum, a tough mid-ranger over Giannis. Deandre Ayton was simply in over his head, rotating half a second too late on the entry pass and fouling Giannis, where he of course made 2 of 2. The G-Man had crested 40 points, yet continued to try and top his own offensive production on the defensive end.
Antetokounmpo picks him up. Booker blocked by Antetokounmpo. That's 5.
By the way, how great is Mike Breen? I know we all love his classic bang calls, but him calling a block shot always gets me so hyped. And as Giannis found his way back to the line, just look at these numbers, y'all. This is why I put such an emphasis on his free throws in this video. He was at 42% in the previous 2 games. How did he do this in game 6? Bobby P with his final hoop of the game, running off the 3-point line, he finished with a huge 16 points. Booker operating at the highest level to convert over Chris Middleton, but who else but Giannis Antetokounmpo on the other end, shedding Mikal Bridges and cramming in traffic. With a shade over 4 minutes remaining, it was Chris Middleton time again for the Bucks. A silky smooth one-legged fader over Booker. Ooh. Ayton, defended by Giannis underneath, was well off on a pretty good-looking attempt, and back the other way, another lanky, unguardable move from the 2-time MVP to give him 47. He wasn't done either, showcasing his full bag, turning with a deep hook shot over Mikal Bridges to extend the Bucks lead to 8. Ridiculous stat line or not though, Phoenix still wasn't cooked quite yet. Devin Booker with a tough finish in transition around Middleton, then Chris with a sloppy turnover to give the Suns life. Jay Crowder doing the most in this one, fighting right to the end as he converted a pair of free throws. The lead was down to just 4 now, and despite the turnover on their prior possession, the Bucks called Chris Middleton's number once again.
Giannis has it to Middleton. Middleton puts up the jumper, puts it in! Chris Middleton, another clutch shot in these playoffs!
And what a shot, man. Credit to Devin Booker for the defense, but Middleton showing his versatile scoring ability, that's big time, dude. The Suns ran a perfect offensive set out of the following timeout, getting Booker a super clean look from deep, but it was off. And after Middleton confidently connected both from the stripe, the entire state of Wisconsin knew what time it was. Giannis thankfully got to the line one more time where he'd make 1 of 2, giving him a juicy 50 piece in this game. Getting to 50 points was historic for Giannis as well, as he tied Bob Pettit for the most points in a potential title clinching game. As well, he became just the 7th player in NBA history to score 50 or more in an NBA Finals game. Oh, and he also became the first player to record 50 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 blocks in any Finals game.
That's history right there, you understand?
For just the 2nd time in their franchise history, the Milwaukee Bucks won an NBA championship in 2021. Giannis Antetokounmpo averaged a light 35 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 blocks per game just weeks after hyperextending his left knee. I hope y'all enjoyed this series as much as I did, man, because this really was a once-in-a-lifetime type performance we all witnessed from the Greek Freak. At this point in basketball cinema videos, I transition to a conversation quickly about the legacy effects from the game we just saw. Obviously, each member of the Bucks gets a boost in perception for their career now that they're a champ. Drew Holiday, an all-time great defensive guard. Chris Middleton, an all-time great second option on a championship team. Brook Lopez is now a former All-Star and an NBA champ. Long story short, winning really helps an NBA player's resume. But for the next couple minutes, we simply have to talk more Giannis. After winning the Finals MVP at the age of just 26, Giannis's resume now reads as follows. 5-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA, 4-time All-Defensive, 2-time NBA MVP, Finals MVP, All-Star Game MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Most Improved Player of the Year. All we have to do now is convince Mike Budenholzer to bring Giannis off the bench next season so he can also win 6th Man of the Year. Save for a higher volume of All-Star and All-NBA nods that comes from having longevity in the NBA, Giannis's career resume is already more sparkling than a majority of NBA legends that have come before him. There's an unending amount of crazy stats, records, and distinctions that Giannis achieved with this run. Here's just a couple. Along with MJ and Hakeem, They're the only players with an MVP, Finals MVP, and Defensive Player of the Year. Only him and MJ have multiple MVPs, a Finals MVP, and DPOY. Giannis is the only player to average at least 30 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists per game on 60% shooting in the finals. He's the only player to win MVP, Finals MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and Most Improved Player award. Honestly, it all just sounds like noise at this point. He accomplished so much, and the Bucks reached the pinnacle as a team. But seriously, don't be surprised when Giannis Antetokounmpo's name begins to be thrown around in the GOAT conversation in the years to come. The unfortunate victims in all this Milwaukee celebration is of course the Phoenix Suns, who remain without a title in their now 53-year history. Specifically from this version of the team, this loss would seem to be most monumental for Chris Paul. One of the greatest point guards in league history, unlike other peers with that distinction, he remains without a ring in his career. It'll be lost to time unfortunately since he was on the losing side of things, but Chris posted 22 points, 8 assists per game on 55% from the field and 52 from deep in the finals. In a league that hasn't been kind to small point guards in their waning seasons, 36-year-old Chris Paul was 2 wins away from probably winning Finals MVP and getting a ring, which absolutely would have been the finishing touches on a sparkling resume. That's kind of the story of CP3 though, unfortunately. He has the distinction of being the only player in NBA history to lose 4 playoff series after taking 2-0 series leads. Here's hoping Paul gets another shot at glory. For each game covered here on Basketball Cinema, I'll be giving out 3 awards, beginning with the Clint Hawkeye Barton Award for Most Underrated Performer.
I don't care.
Which goes to PJ Tucker. I've talked a lot about the big contributors for the Bucks this series. Giannis, Drew, Middleton, even Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez got a lot of love today. But PJ Tucker in Game 6 played 36 minutes, yet scored 0 points on just 1 field goal attempt. And that's not a slight against PJ. In my opinion, if you're able to play big minutes in a finals game, and it feels like you've made a large impact on the game despite not coming close to putting the ball in the hoop, that's actually pretty impressive. The Rick Dalton Award for Most Recognizable Moment goes to proof that the super soldier serum from the Marvel Comics actually exists. Nah, like I'm not joking. Giannis literally looks like Chris Evans before and after he's injected in Captain America: The First Avenger, but that was special effects. This is real life. Giannis is the real life Captain Grease. And finally, the Mark Jackson,
With all due respect.
Award for Weirdest Moment in this game goes to the lack of a stage during the awarding of the Larry O'Brien Trophy. It's possible I missed an explanation as to why there was no stage brought out for post-game festivities, but as I was watching live, it stuck out like a sore thumb. The Bucks just won a championship. Let those dudes tower above us in their rightful majesty. Shout out to Malika Andrews though. Despite the lack of a stage, she killed that post-game coverage. And that's it. The Milwaukee Bucks beat the Phoenix Suns 105-98 on July 20th, 2021. It was the second Bucks championship in their franchise history, their first since 1971. If you enjoyed this episode of the show, please consider dropping a like down below, and if you can see yourself watching more of these in the future, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. No, seriously, do it. Also, feel free to leave me a comment down below on literally anything from this video. They all help the YouTube algorithm. Next week, I'm very happy to announce that I'll be starting a 4-part series on the one and only Kobe Bryant. It's about to be legendary. But until then, I'm Jay Canada, and this has been Basketball Cinema. 3 weeks ago here on my channel, yeah, inconsistent playoff, whoops. Before finishing for the hoop on, it was actually a relatively, is this really what, yet continued to try and top his own offensive production on, nope, production, that's not a word.